Hi friends, and welcome to Raft. Earlier today, the developers of our favorite ocean floating simulator released a new dev update regarding the much-anticipated Chapter 3. Following the controversial decision to release this summer's renovation update rather than a full game expansion, Redbeat has been sprinkling some crumbs about what we could see in the game's future. Today, we got a much better look at what's in development, so let's take a look at what is and what could be coming with Chapter 3. First up is new characters. As of right now, Raft has 2 playable characters. First up is new characters. As of right now, Raft has 2 playable characters, Maya and Rohi. According to the new dev blog, we'll be seeing some new faces soon. Granted, we're not sure what they'll look like because this was the only picture released, and the most exciting part of this is that it sounds like these characters will be spread throughout the world and unlockable in an area suitable for that specific person to live in. I'm really curious as to whether or not this means we're getting encounterable NPCs for the first time, or if they'll just be unlocked after reading some of the notes in the story journal. But if the characters are found in an area that's suited to them, that means we're getting new locations as well. With any chapter expansion so far, we've gotten at least 2 new story locations. So far, that seems to hold true with what we can expect from Chapter 3. Beware, this section of the video contains spoilers for the current story. If you want to skip that, move on to the timestamp I'm putting on screen now. The first confirmed location is what I assume to be Varuna Point, or the location you can find the code to when you launch the bridge from the top of the Tangaroa Tower. Current story seems to indicate that some of the NPCs from the notes were headed to a different section of floating land to live on, which would make sense given the construction site/apartment building feel that these screenshots give off. A few of these screenshots also give me the vibes that are very similar to the apartments found in Kangaroa, but with some added twists. This first location is meant to be some sort of residential space that was never quite finished. Obviously, we have the big crane and the pushy machine. I don't know much about construction, okay? But more importantly, it looks like we have some new jellies and some kind of anglerfish to deal with. Several of the story locations have enemies unique to that location, like the bears on Balboa or the robots in Tangaroa. So it makes a lot of sense that these new locations would have something of their own, too. I'm always happy for a new challenge, regardless of how much I hate the Screechers, so I'm really looking forward to this part. For the second location, we're taking a turn for the colder. This location reminds me a lot of Subnautica Below Zero. Maybe it's just that they're both ocean games with specific snowy and icy aesthetics, but something about the way these buildings are shaped and the colors just reminds me so strongly of that other excellent game. We've got some beautiful northern lights, some nice buildings, and plenty of ice to go around. Currently there's no hint of what enemies might inhabit this location, but I imagine it's going to be terrifying regardless. Maybe we'll get some polar bears, or maybe even wolves. Bonus points if we can get tameable wolves like Minecraft, because every video game needs pets. This location really excites me because it means the introduction of a 4th type of ecosystem into the game. Currently we have the generic tropical, the boreal forest in Balboa, and the deserts in Caravan Town. In my dream version of the game, these ecosystems would spawn elsewhere throughout the world, but as far as I know, that currently only happens with the desert-type islands that spawn around Caravan Town. So we know it's possible, but I'm pretty sure that there's more in store for Chapter 3. Realistically, it seems like we're going to get more than just these 2 story locations from this new chapter. If we go back a bit on Raft's official Twitter page, we can see some concept art and some renderings for some locations that don't quite seem to fit the theme for a pseudo-1970s apartment building or a snowy futuristic village. To me, these scream to fit in with some kind of tropical people who are hell-bent on defending their own. Just look at those traps. They look painful. Granted, there's no indication that the danger spikes and the small colorful houses go together, but I can't get my hopes up too high and imagine 4 unique story locations right now. Or maybe these concept beetles just drove them out of their homes, necessitating the traps. It's also possible that neither of these belong to a story location at all, and could just be found around the world. But that seems a little out of character given the assortment of randomly generated islands in the game already. But again, that could change to resemble the desert island spawning more closely. So in reality, anything is possible. The next part of the update is a story overhaul. This section of the blog post is very brief. Basically, they're rewriting some of the notes you find around the world to be a bit easier to understand, and the overarching story is supposedly a lot more coherent. There's also supposed to be an audio option for listening to these notes rather than reading them for everyone who's more auditorily inclined. I think the story overhaul is a great idea because the story is a bit confusing as it is right now. But for speedrunners like me, this could mean a really drastic change to the way we likely deal with certain levels if we need to talk to NPCs or find separate notes. And maybe it'll even change the way we run the game as a whole. It depends on how they choose to integrate the code to the next location into the story. We'll see how it goes, but I'm already so excited to see the new locations and experience the revamped story. But wait, there's more! The devs hinted to some things that will likely be included in Chapter 3 that they weren't quite ready to spoil for us yet. Things like some new small islands, raft parts, and machines are all supposedly in the works. Personally, I'm really hoping that we get some vehicles to drive around our rafts. It's not going to happen, but you have to dream. Apparently, we're also supposed to get trading posts for all of those extra materials you have lying around that you don't have a use for anymore. From the sound of it, we can craft our spare stuff into scrap cubes that function as a kind of currency to be used at trading posts throughout the world. Potential trades include special cooking ingredients and equipment, as well as some stellar hats, but I'm not sure anything is quite as good as the pufferfish head that looks like a swim cap. I would love to see more options for ref decoration available at trading posts too. The vending machines on Tangaroa gave me some of my favorite items to use when trying to make a nicer looking raft. So really anything is game, but I'm really excited for this change. All in all, Raft is still in early access, which means things can change at any time. But it also means we get this amazing insight into the full potential Raft has as a fully developed game. Chapter 3 is a very promising update and will add a ton of content into the game. But for now, that's everything I have to say about this dev vlog. Thanks for watching. Please like if you liked and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, have a great day.